All right, we're live. Welcome to the Click Pop Podcast. I'm here with Justin. What's up? How are you?
It's another hot day in Los Angeles County.
Damn right.
It
Sweating
was
in
just
here.
gorgeous today. Yeah, I would have loved. I went to the beach yesterday. It was beautiful. Although I went to Venice and I was having a good time, and then somebody on my story was like, "Oh, you know there was pollution in the water today." Oh God, that
Because
was
of the
scary.
hurricane, probably.
Oh yeah,
Massive hurricane. Yeah,
yeah.
too bad you can't podcast from the beach. It's too loud out there.
Yeah. The
Uh,
seagulls would chime in.
so, a lot of big news to get to. But first of all, I was excited today when I looked at the Click Pop Instagram page because I put up a story yesterday about O.J. Simpson expressing how much he likes Vivek Ramaswamy, the GOP presidential candidate. And OJ was like, "Oh, I'd like to see him and Nikki Haley team up. They'd be good. By the way, I'm a libertarian." And then today, I checked my stories
Yeah.
and the DMs on the ClickPop account, and I see that Vivek liked the story.
Oh wow.
And then I see the DM, and it's like, "Thank you." I could just read part of it, so I was like, "Wow." And then I open it, and of course, it's like, "Thank you for joining the Vivek train. Here's the link to donate $1. Everything counts to chip in." So still, I wrote back, "We'd love to have you on the podcast. We just want to interview you briefly, whatever. And then I got back another like, "Thanks for joining Team Vivek. Here's a picture of his family." So now it's like the guy's Instagram page is just a bot. So if you get a like or a view or anything from that page, don't be excited. It's all fake.
I got a message from this really smoking hot Russian model on Instagram. She talks a similar way. Thanks for joining. So you think is this the same thing?
Yeah, I think Vivek is a cam girl.
You think it's phony?
Yeah, he's got an OnlyFans or something. I swear it was an OnlyFans link to donate to his campaign.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was going to tell our boss. I was going to be like, "Look at this. Site's coming along. Got presidential candidates liking it." Meanwhile, it's just like the same as when you post something and you hashtag Las Vegas. It's like DM on Las Vegas locals or something like that. So whatever.
Then you message the boss and you get a bot response from the boss. And then what is going on here? This is like a Twilight Zone episode. Exactly. Is everybody a bot?
So I wanted to talk about, first of all, I made a video reaction to this. Neil deGrasse Tyson, TMZ got him. Charlie Cotton,
good old Charlie got him at the airport, I would imagine.
The Australian animal from TMZ got him at the airport. And, deGrasse Tyson is pulling the line that I hear everywhere from people that don't believe or, are skeptical, which is, "Hey, man, do you really think the government is competent enough to keep a secret like that?"
Oh, that, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, they have many intelligence agencies.
Right.
As I said in my video response, they kept the secret of how much surveillance they were doing on the American people until Edward Snowden leaked it with evidence. So, like, yes, they can keep a secret, right? Am I crazy for like pushing back on that narrative?
You're not crazy. I mean, the list goes on and on about conspiracy theories that the government has done that they kept secret for a very long time. And we found out later on in time that they were real. I mean, how many, the list goes on. I mean, let's talk about the Tuskegee experiment. Let's talk about the LSD experiments in colleges. I mean, and by the way, the Unabomber was a product of that. He was given LSD by the government. Let's talk about when they let people have the syphilis just to watch to see what would happen to them so they could learn from that. That was all a conspiracy theory, but it was true. Now we're starting to realize that there's more to the JFK murder assassination. I mean,
which, by the way, they've been keeping those files secret for 60 years. They were supposed to have been released by now. They still won't let them come out.
Right. So that's been going on. So you're not wrong about that. Yes, there's been things that have happened for years that the government was able to keep secret. This is not like, and then to your point too, there have been people that have leaked information out. There have been high-level officials that have come forward and said, yes, this is what we have. We have technology. You mentioned Bob Lazar, and Bob Lazar is one example. And he's just one example of people that are high-level that have come forward. There's been Air Force pilots, generals. There's been all kinds of people that have come forward who said that we have technology. So
And up until David Grush and the other people that testified, David Fravor and all that testified in front of Congress recently,
right?
What they generally did was a leaker would come forward or a whistleblower, and the government wouldn't acknowledge it. They would deny it. They would try to make the person look crazy. So, like, yeah, where are the leakers? Someone would have talked by now. Plenty of people have talked. I'm not saying all of them are telling the truth, but they're not. Government's not going to be like, okay, we do have alien craft and we have retrieval programs. All right. He told on us. So stupid. I hate that line. It's like, I like, you want to just say, I don't believe it's real, whatever. But like this whole idea, like we're not living in a third world country here. Like our government, for all its flaws, is still very competent and capable.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's obvious.
Sophisticated technology, by the way, real quick. I didn't mean to cut you off. That the military's working with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have all kinds of technology. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we have that they keep a secret for a very long amount of time. I mean, look what just happened with the Titan that went under, the submersible.
Yeah,
we found out that our government had some type of very, very, very advanced listening device under the water, and they were able to know instantly that the vessel imploded. They knew before it came out to the public, and they were afraid to let everyone know that because the technology was there. They've had this technology for years. No one knew about it. So yes, they have this technology and they keep it a secret for a long time. I mean, that's just, everybody knows that. I mean, so that's, for him to say that's kind of silly.
Yeah, let's listen to a little bit of this.
Never been more interest in them, and that's
great. I love it.
That was evidenced by the fact that they were talked about in the GOP debate.
Yes.
A candidate had to promise that, okay, when I get president, I'm going to be open and honest and tell the public everything.
As it should be.
Do you think the government needs to be more open and honest with us, like the candidate Chris Christie was promising in the debate?
Do you think the government is that competent that they could actually keep such a secret?
Maybe.
Oh my gosh, when did you get that much confidence in the U.S. government?
So you think they don't know much?
Yeah, like it's only for the last 70 years, everybody up until like 10 years ago, everybody who came forward saying that they saw an alien or a UFO was made to look like a lunatic. You know? Like there's plenty of societal pressure too to help them keep the secret because people wouldn't come out and admit that.
I don't know what he's doing here. I've interviewed him multiple times. He's a very smart man, but sometimes I feel like, I don't know. He's
full of himself. He's stuck in his ways.
I don't know if he's, I mean, I think it's more about like, you know, is he doing damage control for the government? I mean, he's a very powerful voice. Is he, I mean, would you consider him dialed in with the government? Is he one of, when I say, is he one of us? I mean, is he one of the general popular? Is he part of the general populace that's like questioning things, or is he kind of on the government side? Is he like working for the government to disinformation? You know, I don't know.
He could be. That's what a lot of commenters on the video thought. You know, they called him a deep state shill and all that kind of classic.
Yeah. Unless he's just, he might be uncomfortable with the information. He might be uncomfortable with the fact that there are aliens out there. Maybe he's pissed off. There's going to be some creatures that are more advanced than he is. Maybe he doesn't want them to be smarter. He wants to be the smartest guy in the room.
A lot of, you know, there's a problem in science where these scientists, you know, have discoveries or they come up with theorems and they want those, you know, it's an ego thing. They don't want someone to come along and disprove it and say, oh, you were actually wrong. Like they want to be the guy. So he's not going to, like, all his work has been about how this isn't going on. He's not going to come out like Michio Kaku and say, you know what? Now the preponderance of evidence is going the other way.
Right.
I think it's too hard for him.
This is a thing that happens, this ego thing and this sort of, sort of unacceptance of certain truths. This happens in all aspects of government. It happens in police work. There's been all kinds of cases where cops didn't allow evidence or hid evidence because it was going to kind of go against, like, if they worked for a long amount of time on a case and then it was like found out that they were wrong that whole time, they'll kind of just cover it all up because they don't want to show that it shows incompetence. Also, this happens with archaeology. There's new discoveries in archaeology. And then rather to say, okay, well, this is going to kind of sort of go against everything we kind of taught for the last 20 years. It makes us look incompetent. We don't know our job. So let's just kind of sweep that under the rug because that's going to kind of throw a monkey wrench into what we just kind of proved the last 20 years would be wrong. And so it's a hard thing for people to accept sometimes that their whole life's work could be just kind of like useless almost.
And
so yeah,
a couple other points to make. He says, they could keep the secret. Yeah, they utilize probably the same methods that, say, Jeffrey Epstein used, where you get some kind of compromat on somebody and they're not going to speak out. And then on the other hand, for the leaders, because Charlie Cotton was saying, a president might come out and speak about what's happening, because Chris Christie got asked the question.
Right.
I heard an interview yesterday with Glenn Greenwald, who was the journalist who broke the Edward Snowden story. And he was saying, in his opinion, the second Trump impeachment was the Republicans holding it over Trump's head to say, listen, you're not pardoning Snowden, you're not pardoning Julian Assange, and you're not releasing the Kennedy files on your way out of office, or we will vote to convict you, and then you'll be ineligible to run again. So that's a way that they can hold this stuff over. I mean, there's so many different ways that they can hold things over you to prevent people from really speaking out and really coming clean about the whole operation.
I mean, it is, it's very alarming that the older I get, the more I realize that there is just an overwhelmingly a massive amount of information, of truth out there that will never see the light of day because humans block it. And we live in a time, and we also live in a time right now where, and I don't know if this is the truth throughout the history of humankind, but we live in a time right now where speaking the truth can actually get you in trouble, and speaking a lie can be beneficial for your life. It's kind of a very I don't know. It's kind of a very disturbing thing to discover when you get older, that's how the world is.
Absolutely. Real quick now, I want to pivot to this guy. You remember Joe the plumber?
Who doesn't?
2008, he confronted Obama on the campaign trail. Like some big deal. He looked like the guy.
He talked to McCain. He was with McCain at one point.
Talked to McCain. He looked like the guy from Pawn Star Rick.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he died today.
Oh.
And, it's sad for his family and all that. But
how old was he? Young, right?
He was 49. He had, what kind of cancer?
Oh,
pancreatic cancer. That's the one.
That's a tough one.
You're done. Yeah.
There's not a lot of, that's what killed Swayze, I believe.
Yeah. A lot of people, many such cases. So, he like was a bit of a celebrity on the conservative politics side. This was back when that whole populist thing was first starting to take root. Like, this was obviously McCain picked Sarah Palin as his running mate, and you had guys like Joe the plumber being taken seriously. I mean, I'm sure.
Right.
Like, can you believe they had this guy run for office in 2012? He lost, and I don't want to denigrate the guy's memory, but like, what the hell are they thinking? He has one moment with Obama on the campaign trail, and then next thing he's qualified to run for office. Like,
what office did he run for?
He ran an unsuccessful campaign against no, Ohio's 9th congressional seat against an incumbent Democrat, but he lost.
Oh,
and he had a book.
Ohio Democrat. He probably would have done a better job than that guy.
Possibly. Well, it was a woman, Marcy Kaptur.
Oh, well, he probably would have done a better job than her.
He came out with a book. Like,
have you seen the way Democratic City? Have you seen what Democratic cities and towns look like? They're covered in garbage. They're covered in garbage and crime.
I'm living in one.
And it's like they've had decades and decades and decades, and they're like, "Oh, just give me another year. I'm gonna next year. It's gonna be amazing." And people keep voting for them.
We need another plumber to run.
Yeah,
that's the answer.
Joe the plumber. Well, in a lot of ways, he embodied sort of like middle America, right? Or just like that kind of heartbeat, I call it the heartbeat of America. He's a blue collar guy. He's doing, the Lord's work out there. As we all know, you're calling a plumber in the middle of the night when you've got a flood. That is the Lord's work, I'll tell you. And also, sort of embodied that like American spirit, like questioning politicians, wanting to know the real answer, and standing up for what he believed in, libertarian policies.
Yeah.
No, there's very few jobs in this world that are more American than being a plumber. So,
True.
so
No,
good for good for him. And I always wondered if people like that came forward, if they were sort of if their fame and their popularity was just did it happen organically or were they planted there?
I think a guy like that asked a question and then political strategists saw an opportunity. They were like, yeah, this is the everyman.
It could be the case. It could be. It's possible. I mean, organic things happen. They say truth is stranger than fiction. So it's possible that he just was an organically true guy. But also having worked in casting offices for as long as I did. And, I know sometimes I worked in things that you never knew would be cast. We had people that we would put for shows and things. And we had red carpet things that made it look like fans were there. And it was all staged. So
crisis actors.
I never did that. I never did crisis actor. I never booked crisis actors, but
You weren't doing the casting for Sandy Hook.
No. But I did cast for something similar. When I was in San Diego casting, we had the police and military down there, and it was for a program called SWAT, Strategic Operation Training Scenario,
Yeah.
and they had sim rounds, and we had one scenario. It was before the school shootings were really like taken off, and we had a thing where we had did mock school shootings, and we had like things happen where we had scenarios like in shootings in malls and stuff where we would kind of train the cops how to respond to it. So similar, but not crisis actors, but also
that's that's where the term I believe comes from. Like it's a real crisis actor is a real thing. It's for those type of mock-ups. Like, I've seen those happen before where they're like trying to teach kids CPR and like life-saving techniques. That's what a crisis actor is. It was just co-opted into meaning anybody that's part of a mass shooting or a big event.
Yeah, I did book. I guess I did book crisis actors then because not crisis actors, but people that were like, they were actors, and sometimes they didn't know the whole scenario because you didn't want them to know what was going on because you wanted an air of authenticity in their confusion and their chaos to help the cops, to desensitize the cops and the feds that were like new on the force to how to respond to an action like that. In other words, what I mean by that is you can only go through training so many times, and then when you got in the real world and someone's bleeding or someone's freaking out and acting irrationally as a cop or fire or military, the first time you see that, you're going to kind of have a little bit of shock. So you're going to, all your training is there, but you kind of still have a shock into how it's going down. But if you create a scenario where you hire people and they don't really quite know what's going to happen, so they're a little bit still confused about what's happening. They know their sort of role, but they don't really know what they're doing. And then they come in, and then we have, of course, there's going to be someone coordinating the whole thing that will kind of understand how all the pieces fall together. But then the actors will be like, "What's going on?" And they'll be really generally confused and running. And then when the cops or the military sees that, and we even had amputees sometimes. So we would have an amputee have an arm blown off with fake blood, and then they would see that and be like, "Oh my God," and freak out. And then they would put on a tourniquet and do whatever. But that was to kind of desensitize them, so that they got that out of their system. And then when they went out to the real world and saw that, they had already seen it one time and already went through that initial shock.
And you were working for Central Intelligence Casting?
We were essentially located. I don't know how intelligent I was, but
did you do Pizzagate? Was that you?
I was the pizza guy on Veronica Mars.
Oh, that's right. I'm getting confused. I brought up this painting real quick because Joe the Plumber reminds me of this. There's this guy, John McNaughton, I think is his name, who like paints these overly emotional pictures of the forgotten man, and it's like Obama is standing there trampling on the Constitution and he's not even paying attention to Alexander Hamilton or something like that. It reminds me of that. During the Obama era, there was a whole thing of like, you're not paying attention to us. This guy doesn't care about us. The plumber.
Yeah, well,
and like maybe there's some truth to it. It was just how overly, like, it was kind of cringy, a little bit of this stuff.
Well, I would argue that that's exactly why Trump won over Hillary.
Oh yeah.
That's the argument that I would make, because Michael Moore says it much more eloquently than I ever can, but he basically paints the picture that, she didn't really go and do the work. She didn't go to the Midwest. She didn't go to Minnesota. She didn't go to Michigan. She didn't go to those places because she didn't go because she was told by, her echo chamber, oh, you have that one. There's no reason for you to go there. Why waste your energy and go there? So she didn't go. And Trump went and shook hands and talked to people. And, he did the work. He talked to the forgotten man that you see right there. So, is history repeating itself now all over again?
McNaughton should repaint this with Hillary stepping on the Declaration of Independence and looking away.
Yeah, or turning her back to the auto workers, or that was the sort of the crux of the conversation, right? It was Michael Moore talking about how Trump went there and said, I'm listening to you and I'm here for you. And she was sort of like, I don't need to go talk to those people. I already have that department won. Why do I need to go there? So
very true.
So Joe the plumber sort of represents a lot of that.
Yeah. It's a simpler time back then, weirdly. One more thing that I want to discuss is these protesters still don't get it. Nobody likes it. Nobody wants to support you when you block the roads. But they do it. They don't care. And a lot of people, a lot of commenters on our ClickPop TikTok were very happy to see this video in particular. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the video of the shoot, I shouldn't have put that away. 1 second here. But yeah, they're in Nevada. They're blocking the way to Burning Man, which is like, if you are going to have supporters, they're probably in the Burning Man traffic line. Okay, so like, once again, so stupid. You're interrupting the lives of the people who would probably support you. I don't know what the thought process is. Here we go.
And you're blocking emergency vehicles.
Yeah, and it's in the middle of the desert, which is like kind of dangerous, Like, what if someone's fucking gas runs out? They can't put the AC on. They got no water. Like, who knows? Any number of things could go wrong.
Yeah.
He just drives right over it.
Is this Reno 911?
So he blew through the blockade.
Good.
I think he went a little far, though, right here.
Not far enough.
Get out! On the ground! All of you on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Don't move!
So,
one girl screaming about being nonviolent. I think pulling the gun out when like some older woman is just standing there with both her arms resting at her sides, pulling the gun out and saying, all of you get on the ground. Now, that might have been too far. I like driving through the blockade.
Oh, I love that.
Pulling the gun was probably, it lost me there.
Well, let's have a conversation about what happened prior to this. So we're seeing the video. The video starts here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So prior to this, they put out multiple warnings to these people, telling them that they were going to be removed forcibly if they didn't leave. They were blocking the flow of traffic. They were on tribal lands. Okay. This is Native American tribal lands. And those are Native American tribal police. Those are not regular Nevada highway patrol. That's tribal land police.
Right.
Those are their rules. Okay. And they were warned multiple times to leave and they've disregarded it. So this is what happens, right? You're warned, and then you get a backhand. They go, oh my God, how could you do that? So was it much? He had time constraint. We don't know the whole story. There could have been someone that was waiting in line that needed medical surgery, a medical assistance, rather. There might have been somebody waiting in an ambulance that needed immediate medical attention. So he's running in there. He doesn't have time to start talking to them. They're already past that point. They already had a conversation with him multiple times, and they basically gave him the finger. So this is what he does. He comes in with a gun, gets him on the ground, moves him out of there, smashes it, and it's over. So let this be a lesson. And by the way, it's counterproductive. You're sitting in the flow of traffic. So all these vehicles, I don't know if people realize that they created a traffic jam that went back for miles. That's hundreds and hundreds of cars idling fuel into the air. It's completely counterproductive. It makes no sense.
That's a great point. Yeah. They're protesting private jets. Meanwhile, they're creating like a gigantic private jet on the road.
Yeah.
Essentially. So stupid. And more people, you see these videos, people that are stuck in traffic are getting out of cars to fight. I wish more cops would do this just to break up the blockade. All right, pulling guns and stuff like that. Maybe if it's a dangerous situation, I don't know if you need to pull the guns, but it's enough. Like, figure out a different way to protest. Go protest at Congress or like where someone, like, you think anybody in that line of traffic can do anything about the climate change crisis? All these people are driving to Black Rock City. They didn't take a private jet.
Yeah.
Go to the airport.
I mean, what happens if there's a Tesla waiting in line there?
Yeah. Go set up a blockade on the runway and see how long it lasts. Okay?
Take all these climate protesters, all these people that are damaging art in Italy and damaging art in France and stopping the flow of traffic. Take all of them, put them on a giant cargo plane and ship them to China or to India, because those are the countries that are polluting, almost responsible for over 90% of the pollution in the whole world. America is only a small percentage, and we're actually have a lot of rules and regulations in place to curb our pollution problem, and we're working on it. China and India aren't doing anything. Those are the two massive polluters around the globe, and they get a free pass somehow. It's insane. I mean, you can't put a straw into your glass or your cup or your drink. You can't have a straw, but you can. But meanwhile, China and India are pumping thousands of tons of plastic garbage into the rivers and the oceans every single day with no problem. Nobody says anything. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's insane. We're living in the twilight zone.
It's the cheapest, easiest way to try to get protests for attention is blocking the road. You know, try to block one of those cargo ships in the middle of the ocean that's responsible for most of the pollution.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. They're not winning any fans. In fact,
no,
a lot of people are like turning against the climate change movement, I think, because of this, because they're just frustrated with the methods.
Yeah. And also, I think people are starting now to see the bigger picture. I mean, look, if you came to me and said, hey, here's the evidence, America's the #1 polluter. All these other countries are working really, really hard to fight pollution, but America is dragging their feet. And the main problem is cars, and they won't do anything about it. Okay, now you have my vote. Now I agree with you. But when people start, and I think that's what we were kind of told, that's kind of what was pumped into our brains, like America, it's all us. And it's like, and then you start looking at everything, you go, wait a second, I'm looking at a pie chart here, and we're pretty small on the pie chart. Who's dominating it? China and India. It's like, okay, well, look at the Paris Accord. Where are they going to have to follow the rules for the Paris Accord? Oh no, they don't have to follow the rules. Okay, so China and India don't have to follow the rules of the Paris Accord, but we have to spend almost $1 trillion. What? It's insane. And I actually agreed with Trump on that. He was actually right. The Paris Accord was a money grab for all these other countries. It was the stupidest thing ever. If we actually break it down and look at it, it made no sense. It didn't do anything. It was going to maybe change the climate by 0.5 of a degree. It was so insane. Nobody reads the receipts. Nobody reads receipts. So these climate activists, thumbs down.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean, by the way, I want to preface this, or I want to at least say, cover my tracks here. I 100% agree that we have regulations and changes in the way we do business in the world. I think that we need to have lower emissions. I don't want plastic pollution. I think microplastics are far, far greater threat to our health and the globe and the planet as a whole than carbon. But I mean, that's just what I've read and what I feel and what I've made my opinion on. But that doesn't mean I don't want to see reduced carbon. Of course, I want to see that. Nobody wants pollution. So I agree with that. But at the same time, there needs to be a better sort of cohesive plan that at least brings China and India to the table and forces them to at least do the same thing that we're doing.
Yeah. Go protest at Davos or like someplace where the people who actually can do something about it are
not people going to Burning Man, a bunch of hippies anyway.
Exactly. All right. Great show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel right here. Hit the notification so you know when we're on live. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at ClickPop2 and on TikTok at ClickPop0. And of course, ClickPop.substack.com. Any last words, Justin?
Oh, I just want to let you know, I just got a message from Ramaswamy. So I'm going to go read this.
Really?
Wish me luck.
All right. Good stuff. We'll see everybody on the next